We begin this event by reading the statement issued by the Gandhi Development Trust and Satyagraha on the failure to issue a visa to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. We are profoundly disturbed at the failure of the South African government to issue His Holiness the Dalai Lama with a visa to visit South Africa. His Holiness is a world-respected icon of peace, a Nobel Peace Laureate, and a visionary leader holding similar stature to our revered Madiba. There is no way in one's wildest imagination that he could be construed as a threat to South Africa. Instead, he is someone who should be welcomed to this country with open arms, and we should be eager to receive the message of peace that he brings wherever he goes. We note with great sadness the fact that our government, in restricting the entry of the Dalai Lama now and previously in 2009, is emulating the actions of previous apartheid governments. We place on record our severe dissatisfaction at this discrimination, which is contrary to the principles of democracy for which thousands of South Africans gave their lives. This is a day of shame when we have allowed ourselves to be dictated to by a foreign government and let human rights and morality yield to an illusion of economic interest. That is the end of the statement. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that on each of the tables in the hall there is a petition form. Please pass it round, and if you would like to sign it, we would be very grateful if you would do that. There are also ribbons in each place, as far as I know, and you are welcome to put those on as a sign of protest about the failure to give the Dalai Lama a visa. Please would you all stand for a prayer. I invite Lakshmi Desai to come forward and to light the candle next to the empty chair of the Dalai Lama. We pray for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who cannot be with us today in person. May he soon be able to visit us. We pray for Archbishop Desmond Tutu, celebrating his 80th birthday. May he long be a prophetic voice for our country and our world. We pray for the government of South Africa. May they see the folly of their failure to welcome the Dalai Lama. We pray for the people of Tibet and the people of China. May a just solution be found for that painful situation. Pray for all who will receive Satyagraha Awards in this ceremony. May they continue to be an inspiration to us. Please remain standing as Elizabeth Gaywood, Chairperson of the Tibet Society of South Africa, reads a prayer.
This prayer was written by an 8th century Indian Buddhist scholar called Shantideva, who studied at the Nalanda University in India. This extract is taken from one of His Holiness's favourite texts, the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. I am medicine for the sick and weary. May I be their physician and their nurse until disease appears no more. May I strike down the anguish of thirst and hunger with rains of food and drink. In famine and disaster, may I be an inexhaustible treasure for those in need. May I be their servant to give them what they desire, my body, my pleasure, my merit, now and forever, everywhere. I care nothing about them, I cast them aside to accomplish the aims of all beings. And may the blind see, the deaf hear, the fearful cease to tremble, the afflicted be consoled, and the weary be made content. May the sick be made whole again, and those in bondage freed. May the weak be strong and loving to each other. And as long as the earth and sky shall last, may I remain here to heal the sorrows of the world. I take upon myself the sorrows of the world, and may the world be happy.
Please be seated. Just before we give you an official welcome, I invite you to introduce yourselves to everyone at your table. Make sure you know everyone and that you welcome everyone to this occasion.
Thank you. On behalf of the Gandhi Development Trust and of Satyagraha, I welcome all of you to this award ceremony. A special welcome to the representative of His Holiness, Sonam Tenzing, and to all who will receive Satyagraha Awards, their families and friends. Also to the Consul General of India, Mr. Anil Sharon and his wife Samita, to the United States Consul, Mr. Taylor Ruggles, to the MEC for Housing and Human Settlements, Maggie Govender, to members of the Provincial Legislature, Priscilla Mackay and Omi Singh, to Justice Chabalala, the retired Judge President of KwaZulu-Natal, to Thandi Gabashe Lutuli, representing the Lutuli family, to the Pietermaritzburg Gandhi Memorial Committee, to former activists of the old Natal Organization of Women, known as NOW, faithful comrades of Ila Gandhi, and to the members of the Tibet Society of South Africa. And once again then, to all of you, a warm welcome. Just to say a word about the awards that we give this afternoon. First of all, there is the Mahatma Gandhi International Award for Reconciliation and Peace. This is given each year to outstanding international personalities, well known for their commitment to peace and non-violence. The decision of the Gandhi Development Trust and Satyagraha is that we would like to give this award to His Holiness in person. So the award will not be presented this afternoon. We hope that it can happen soon, that we may give this award directly to the Dalai Lama, right here in Durban, but that depends on a change of heart by the government. If that does not happen, we will ask Ila Gandhi to take the award to His Holiness in Dharamsala, India, and to give it to him personally. So that's the first award, the Gandhi International Peace Award. Then there are several Satyagraha Awards. These are given to a number of local people for their outstanding contributions to the ongoing struggle for justice and peace. Most of these will be given to the awardees, but there's one that will be given posthumously to a member of his family, and one of the awardees is not able to be present, so a friend of his will receive the award. The citation will now be read for the award to the Dalai Lama. It will be read by Nireshni Govender.
The Mahatma Gandhi International Award for Reconciliation and Peace, presented to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, 9th October 2011, in recognition for his humility and compassion in raising consistently, relentlessly, and with great courage the issues of peace, conservation of the environment, natural justice, and human rights, and in so doing, constantly advocating non-violent means in true Gandhian tradition.
Now we invite Ila Gandhi to come forward and to hand over the award to Sonam Tenzing, if he would also please come up. And then we ask him to show it to everyone, to hold it up high and show it to everyone, and then to put it on the table here. And it's going to remain in Durban until we can give it to the Dalai Lama. And we invite Sonam to give an acceptance speech on behalf of the Dalai Lama.
Good afternoon, dear friends. Respected members of the Gandhi Development Trust, our friends of the Tibet Support Group, and all the guests who are present here. I do not have a written speech. However, on behalf of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I would like to thank the Mahatma Gandhi Development Trust in Durban and all the members who have given the recognition to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and to all the South African people who have supported in his effort to bring peace in the world. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The photographers are asking that you hold the award up so that they can get a nice photograph of you in front of the chair. Also would like to present Sonam with a beaded scarf. Ela will do that, thank you. That brings us to the end of the first part of our award ceremony, and now we come to the Satyagraha Awards. And first of all, we're going to see a DVD that tells us the story of each of these awardees.
There is an indefinable, mysterious power that pervades everything. I feel it, though I do not see it. It is this unseen power which makes itself felt and yet defies all proof, because it is so unlike all that I perceive through my senses. It transcends the senses. Even in ordinary affairs, we know that people do not know who rules or why and how he rules, and yet they know that there is a power that certainly rules.
This year, the Gandhi Development Trust and Satyagraha honored the stalwarts of the freedom struggle, and amongst those selected are people who consciously chose to renounce cushioned lives in order to achieve Gandhiji's dream of non-violence and democracy. Tonight, we honor former parliamentarian Gertrude Chopra, once the leader of the ANC Women's League. She worked with Ma Albertina and propagated her vision for equal rights. Gertrude Chopra dedicated her life to the freedom struggle, living in fearful torment and then in exile until our country's democracy. Also being honored tonight is the late Ravi Bhagwan Dean, who was a lawyer with an abundance of compassion. He possessed many qualities similar to that of Gandhiji, and his unwavering stance on many issues caused him to be alienated. He fought fiercely against oppression and racial divisions and represented struggle leaders, undaunted by the consequences. Being presented this prestigious award tonight is Sambasivan Ramsamy, who, like the others, fought courageously for equality and non-violence. Sam, however, concentrated on the sports arena and spent most of his life fighting against the elimination of racial discrimination in the sports sector so that equal opportunities are available to all. Maniben Sita is also one of the awardees tonight. She lived and still lives in the Gandhian ideal of simple and courageous living. She served as an ANC councillor for 5 years, spearheading democracy and equality. Tonight, Paddy Meskin, alongside Saidun Nisa Said, are also being honoured for their steady efforts in the liberation struggle against apartheid and the continuous struggle for a better life for all today. Working side by side, these women are a perfect example of faith-based harmony and compassion. The Gandhi Development Trust, in conjunction with Satyagraha, recognized the immeasurable efforts of these pioneers who dedicated their lives towards the struggle against gender and racial inequalities. We salute all of you for making the vision of Gandhiji your very own.
The first award is to Ma Chopra. Her citation will be read by Nareshni.
Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Award presented to Ntiti Gertrude Chopra, 9th October 2011, in recognition for her courageous, outstanding and relentless contribution to the liberation of South Africa, and in particular to the struggle for the equal status of women.
We invite Ma Chopra to come forward together with Maggie Govender, the MEC for Housing and Human Settlements. Maggie will be presenting all the Satyagraha Awards because she has long been a member of Satyagraha.
Good afternoon, everybody. The Sagra Har Mahatma Gandhi Trust. I would like to say thank you very much to the Sagra Har Mahatma Gandhi Trust for having stood up to all the difficulties that made our country for all the years past. They did all this within the context of a collective, and that is how the victory came, because everybody else came together and we are helping each other to carry on with the work of trying to put the South African conflict straight and good. We should also mention that this organization, this trust, dates very, very many ages back through all the difficulties that they went through, but still they were very, very consistent, and they looked up to the goals that they had set themselves. That is how they succeeded. I want to say this selfless consistency and the continued fight against the conflict that was within our country succeeded because we helped each other, supporting each other, knowing that this is going to be a country for all of us to enjoy, to protect the nation and our children. I should also say that all the achievements that we made were not made by one person. They were made because we held hands on both sides, looked forward to the goals that we had set ourselves, and then we got what we wanted in the end, which in any case still needs to be looked after, to be consolidated, and to be strengthened if it must go on and on and on. I want to say that when it comes to the South African women, we had a very great deal of support from the women of India, not only those who were here, because those who were here were fighting together with us, but I mean the ones that were in India. They supported us in every respect. We invited each other to each other's events to go and speak and lay our case and seek assistance, which we got. We took very good and proper policies when we met at conferences. In other words, we all fought for the right of everybody and we agreed in our fight. But I think I should say of great importance to this support that we got from the people of India. The children of that country took part, understood our struggle. They knew they had counterparts in South Africa. They helped them with everything that they could, so that by the time we got our independence, they were also very ready to invite us to go and have a meeting with them, to tell them all about our country and all that we have done and how we have succeeded through their help. So that when the turn came to us now to support the people of Somali, I'm very proud to say our children followed in the steps of the children of India who are still supporting the children of Somali. Now, the children who are in India, I want to mention two secondary schools. The Springdale Secondary School under Mrs. Kumar and the Bluebell Secondary School under Mrs. Soni. They were not the only ones, but they were in the lead. They encouraged others. The others followed in their footsteps. And that is how our children also followed in their footsteps to help the other counterparts who are still in trouble, who need their guidance and who need their support, both monetary, clothes, food, and everything. So this gesture by the children of India to our people, and this gesture by the people of this country to the other countries who are in need should be very, highly encouraged. As you will know that, it is only if the children, if the young ones understand the problem, that as they grow up, they will grow up with a very strong edge to help those who are in trouble, because they understand that Gandhi and all the other leaders who came first in this very country fought for the right of all those who were oppressed, fought for the right of all those who were segregated, to make sure that everybody in this country should be on the same par, should not be looked at in the sense of color, should not be looked at whether they are poor or rich, educated or not. We are all one, and we all have to serve our people and bring up our nation in a very dignified way, protecting them. Because as we know that mothers who bring life to this world have got a duty to see to it that this world, this nation, this life is preserved and protected. Perhaps I should finish off by saying that I had the chance, if not the opportunity or the honor, of attending the funeral of Mrs. Indira Gandhi, who was in the forefront of the Indian women all the time when they were helping us as we were still struggling. Now that she was gone, I was put in the delegation that went to see her on her last day as she departed from this country. I also want to say our mission in India in 2006 invited me to India to go again to meet the Indian women, discuss with them how far we have gone, thank them for what they did for us, and talk to them in accordance with what we still have to do as women to carry on the struggle of women on a global level to try and improve the countries where we stay in. And at that time, I also had the chance of meeting the secondary school learners of Springdales and of Bluebells, and a very good program was prepared for me to meet them all and then discuss with them. So I'm very proud to say that, we were very proud to have had friends like the people who are very far away from us in India, but who felt the urge to come together with us and work with us to improve the lives of our peoples. May this gesture carry on, not only with the women, but also with the youth and with our young children. I thank you.
The next award is given to Maniben Sita.
Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Award, presented to Maniben Nana Sita, 9th October 2011, in recognition for her uncompromising, courageous and outstanding demonstration against the Group Areas Act in particular, and apartheid oppression in general.
that will do. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel very happy to be present in this August assembly. I want to relate a little story that happened when I was in prison. One of the senior officials of the prison came to talk to me, and he asked me where I lived. I said my home is in Pretoria. Then he asked me, why are you here? I said, because I attended the funeral of Matthew Gonive and his comrades that were murdered in the Cape. And he asked me, did you know Matthew Gonive? I said, no, I didn't. He said, then why did you attend his funeral? I said, because he was fighting for the same things that I am fighting for. And he asked me, and what was that? And I said to him, the respect of our human dignity in the land of our birth. And then I went on speaking. He spoke softly and with a lot of respect, and I did the same. I didn't speak loudly, I spoke just as softly as him. But I said to him, does this government, meaning the white government of South Africa, with their few guns think that they can rule over the oppressed people of this country forever? It cannot happen. I said there was the mighty British Empire that ruled half the world. And in a space of less than 50 years, the image of that empire, right, thank you. I said there was the mighty British Empire that ruled over half the world. And in a space of less than 50 years, the image of that empire, in spite of their great Royal Navy, has been abolished from the face of the earth. And I also told him there was the British Commonwealth of Nations, and even that does not exist today. So what is this government with their few guns? They cannot rule over the black people forever. So then he said to me, I'm going to visit Ram Saluji and other leaders of your struggle. And I said to him, yes, our leaders are, our men have character and integrity. They are not hobos from the back streets of Johannesburg. And we are very proud of them, and we are happy to follow in their footsteps. And what Mahatma Gandhi taught us in the early part of the 20th century are lessons we have not forgotten. We shall put them into operation until we get what we want. And that is the respect of our human dignity in the land of our birth. And that applies to every citizen that is living in South Africa today. We can all walk the streets of South Africa with our heads held high and be addressed as decent human beings, not addressed as Coolie or Mary or Annie or whatever other phrase they used when they referred to non-white people in this country. And now I am accepting this award, not only for myself, but on behalf of all the people that took part in the struggle for freedom in our country until in 1994, we brought freedom to everyone. Thank you.
The citation for Sam Ramsamy is read.
Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Award presented to Sam Ramsamy, 9th October 2011, in recognition of his consistent and relentless efforts to draw world attention to the oppressive apartheid sports and to isolate it from the international arena in a bid to free South Africa from the shackles of apartheid.
Anand Singh will receive the award on behalf of Sam Ramsamy. My apology, this is Nilesh Singh, not Anand Singh.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as you've discovered, I'm neither Anant nor Sam Ramsamy, but I can stand in as their body double today. This is a message from Sam, who's currently in London, attending to duties as an IC member ahead of the London Olympic Games. And I quote from a message from him: "I am greatly honored to be conferred with the Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Award. Although I was deeply involved in a number of activities, my role in sport specifically has been highlighted. Sport played a crucial role in initiating the establishment of the principle of inclusivity and reconciliation, an ideal of Mahatma Gandhi, encompassing the outcome of Satyagraha. In July 1991, as a direct result of us following these principles, the International Olympic Committee gave recognition to South African bodies authorizing rugby, cricket, football, and many other South African sporting bodies obtaining international recognition. This recognition became part of the process of uniting the country and advancing reconciliation. It also allowed us to take our South African team to the 1992 Olympic Games in Barcelona, well in advance of the first democratic elections of 1994. The IOC also accorded Nelson Mandela, then president of the ANC, head of state status at the Barcelona Olympic Games. In South Africa, sport has emerged as a uniting force for our nation, and it is in this spirit I accept this Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Award. Thank you for this accolade.
Please wait, we would like to present you, Mr. Nilesh Singh. We'd like to present you with a beaded scarf also. So if you just hold on a moment. The next award is a joint one made to Seydun Syed and Paddy Meskin.
Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Award presented jointly to Paddy Meskin and Seydun Nisa Syed, 9th October 2011, in recognition for their dedication, commitment, and hard work to realize interfaith harmony and to build respect and peace among the diverse communities of South Africa and the world through their own harmonious working relationship within the context of their different faith backgrounds.
Dear friends, I address you as friends because indeed every single person who is seated here today is one of our friends. And certainly, from my perspective, and I'm very sure that Seydoun sees it in the same way, that this award is a joint award. It's a joint award not just to Seydoun and I, but it's an award to every single person, every single group has helped us over the years to bring about interfaith harmony, reconciliation, communities working together. I have been working in interfaith for over 40 years, at a time during the apartheid era when English and Afrikaans didn't even meet, let alone faith communities of different races. But it's been because of all those people who helped us to form these bridges. And the apartheid era, in many ways, was the reason that we had a base from which to work when we started in 1994 to build the democratic state. Because during that whole time, the religious leaders came together, particularly after 1994, when our Archbishop Desmond Tutu put forward, after he'd won the Nobel Peace Prize, put forward the starting of World Conference on Religions for Peace. And from my personal view, I want to thank every single person who's helped me on that path. It's a path that has allowed me to grow and to experience the most wonderful things in my life, the people that I've met, the activities that I've been involved in, starting with my family, who always gave me that support, and my dear husband, but working through my faith community, who gave me the support to go out and look at other communities. And I'll never forget the very first program, the very first interfaith program that we held. We sent out invitations and we thought, we'll be lucky if we get 50 people. 450 people turned up. That was in 1977. It was a time when communities did not know one another. And from that time, I was imbued with a spirit to actually reach out to all people. And since then, there are so many people whom I have to say thank you to. Without each one of you, this award would not be here, and we would not have the wonderful interfaith relationships that we have, particularly here in KwaZulu-Natal, but all over South Africa. So to all the organizations, all our friends, all our members, and particularly to all our religious leaders who have guided us and led us, thank you so much. God bless you all.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I would like to thank Ila Ben Gandhi and Patrick Pai Kearney, seated at the back there, for the respect that they have shown for the work that we continuously to do as people of faith. I would also like to thank my family, and I'm very happy they're all here in full force, and that's my blood family. I have my family from the interfaith community, WCRP here, Sue Britton, Lakshmi Desai, but most of all, we have our family from the Ikaya Project Mavela, situated an hour away from us in a semi-rural area. And these women have been the women that have encouraged us to be who we are. I'm just a brick on the wall, giving support to each one of you. Likewise, you give me support. And I think from our scriptures, all our scriptures, we learn that we are born and brought up into nations and tribes, and that we need to live in harmony, in dignity, and respect each other. And I had the opportunity in 1992 when Ila asked me to represent South Africa at a program for WCRP. I attended the program and I came to give a report back. I was caught in a web that I cannot come out of it. And I continue in this light. I enjoy my work, and I think it's absolutely encouraging that we can shine a light and we can also get a light. I would like to thank the Gandhi Development Trust and Satyagraha for this honor. And as my colleague Paddy said, we are sisters in faith from the Abrahamic faith, a Jew and a Muslim working together. We are just not only work friends, we are also family friends. We celebrate birthdays and anything either one of our families celebrate. And I think if we look at our work in that light, that we don't work 8 to 5 in our offices, but take our work to wherever we are, we'll be able to do the work we do. Thank you all. Thank you, Ila and Paddy. And we really appreciate receiving this on behalf of all of you here today. Thank you.
The final award is for the late Rabi Bugwandeen.
Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Award, posthumously awarded to Rabi Bhagwandeen, 9th October 2011, in recognition of his commitment, tenacity, and personal contribution to the struggle for liberation of South Africa.
Rabi's award will be presented to his son, Dr. Shikha Bugwandeen. And he also receives one of the beaded scarves.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Program Director, and friends. Allow me to begin this afternoon by prefacing what I have to say about my late father, Rabi Bhagwandeen, by first recognizing the important role and contribution that my mother, Rupi Bhagwandeen, has played in all frontiers of my father's life. Without her unconditional love and support, the great success that my late dad enjoyed as a lawyer, freedom fighter, businessman, and family man would not have been possible. So on his behalf, I would like to honor my mother by dedicating this Mahatma Gandhi Satyagraha Award 2011 to her as well. My father's political life and contribution to the struggle for liberation of our country is well known. At the time of his death in September 2001, many letters of sympathy and support were received, in which his sacrifice and selfless service for a free and democratic South Africa were acknowledged. In Praveen Gordon's letter to my mother, he had the following to say about my father. Rabi will stand out in the journals of history for his courage, sacrifice, and commitment. He will be remembered as one of those who made a truly great contribution to building genuine non-racialism and uniting opposing communities together in action. He provided legal defense to the victims of apartheid laws and demonstrated courageous leadership during the most difficult period. Others have described him as a fine and upright human being who was courageous and fought for the cause of liberation with great zeal and determination. Ex-Constitutional Court Judge Justice Zak Yaqub had this to say about him. In all, his contribution to our struggle was legend. What I have just shared with you is in a sense public knowledge and has been recorded in the annals of history. But what about Rabi as a father, husband, and a person to live with on a daily basis? This side of his life has not been recorded, and this is what I will share just a bit with you this afternoon. To be honest, my father's family and personal life was no different to his public life, in the sense that he loved to debate and espouse the same values at home as he did in public. To him, honesty, humility, and respect for people from all walks of life was important. To him, kindness and compassion were important values. Though he did this by a somewhat sharp and straightforward exterior, he brought us up by instilling in us a sense of duty to look beyond our own little world and help those around us who were in need. He also taught us that social responsibility and consciousness required of us not to be afraid to speak out in the name of truth, even if it meant being a lonely voice in the wilderness. Not only did he preach these moral values, but he also lived them as evidenced by his kind and caring nature, always willing to share whatever resources he had at his disposal for the greater good of humanity. His humanitarian nature and passion for justice become clearer to understand when one looks at his role and his actions during the period of racial oppression. As a lawyer, he rendered free legal services to those who were charged and detained under the Terrorism Act. These detainees were vulnerable to humiliation and brutal interrogation at the hands of the state. Many lost their lives whilst in detention. In his business life, his hotels, especially their Soka Hotel, was often used by comrades as temporary shelter and place of safety when they were on the run or when they returned from exile, as well as when comrades were down in Durban to attend a meeting or congress of the ANC. Accommodation, boarding, and lodging were provided free of charge, all because of a sense of duty and loyalty to his comrades in the struggle for liberation. His home in Overport, from the late 60s up to the mid-80s, was a hive of activity. It buzzed with people from all walks of life. And I can recall clients, crooks, charlatans, communists, friends, and relatives coming to our home. In saying so, I must not forget to mention the eminent scholars, political activists, legal and business colleagues who were regular visitors to our home. Holy men and horse racing friends were also part of this colorful tapestry of life. Some were there to save his soul, whilst others couldn't wait to give him the winner for the upcoming July Rothmans Handicap. These peculiar scenes were only appreciated later on in our lives. People were in and out of our house all the time, with my mother, assisted by Billy, dutifully doing the entertaining, sometimes at very short notice. At one point, things got so hectic that when the doorbell battery packed up, it was never replaced. The telephone had to be taken off the hook so that he could get some rest. In all, I can truly say that my father had a full and busy life. As a lawyer, he was willing to assist poor people and would take matters on without thinking about fees. In fact, it was the office managers, my mother and Uncle Sanjay Dukhi, who had to remind clients that fees would be appreciated. When he came to domestic matters, especially divorce cases, he would try his best to reconcile the couple where children were involved before going to court, and he counseled them free of charge. In disputed paternity cases, where his client disclosed that he was indeed the biological father, he would refuse to take the matter on. In such cases, he preferred taking his client to the clerk of the court and get them to pay maintenance for the child. Such was his compassion, honesty, and integrity. When it came to business matters, I think this was the most stressful aspect of life for him. He was more cut out to be a community worker or social worker rather than a hard-nosed businessman. But he had to survive, and he also had a family to support, so he had no choice. There was a point in his life when he had interest in 5 to 6 hotels. Even when times were tough, he was still kind and caring. The liquor merchants saw these qualities in him and even wrote off large debt at one point in time because they valued his integrity and his ability to mix with people of all races back in the dark days of apartheid. At such gatherings, he was at his best when he had the social lubricant called whiskey in his hand. Despite his own financial issues, he funded the ANC generously and regularly. His community participation was not just limited to politics, but extended to the issues that affected community growth and cultural values. In Overport, he helped raise funds by going door to door to build a hall that the community required for vernacular classes, cultural activities, and social events. During the Tin Town floods in the 1970s, he and Fatima Mir and other members of the NIC were actively involved in arranging tents for the displaced residents, as well as providing them with food. The displaced victims stayed in the tents on the Asheville Sports Ground for nearly a year before they were allocated houses in Phoenix. But for my father, this was not good enough. In his wisdom, he invited an elderly gentleman to come and live with us until the old man's domestic issues were sorted out. He explained to my mother that he extended the invitation to the elderly gentleman because the children, that is, my sister, brother, and myself, would benefit from having an older and wiser person in the house. His argument prevailed, and so Tata came into our lives. He lived with us for close to a year and became a useful person around the house, especially the garden. In the end, he reunited with his family in Phoenix, and we never saw Tata again after that. Similar acts of kindness were repeated with members of the family who were having domestic disputes and had small children to support. Mom and Dad took them in, and our family grew bigger. By a similar process, Mom and Dad became parents for the 4th time when Boosie was born into the family. Compliments for this must go to Billy, our housekeeper at the time. When Boosie was born, Mom immediately took her in, saying that she wanted a 4th child. And it was he who could find no grounds to oppose her wishes, so he graciously adopted the child and became Boosie's father. To us, Boosie became our 4th sibling. Boosie was brought up exactly the same way as we were, and this was amazing to watch because this was in the real dark days of apartheid, when there were strict laws that separated the different race groups and prevented them from associating with one another. When it was time to go to school, the family by then had moved to Reservoir Hills, a so-called Indian area at the time. In Reservoir Hills, there were no schools for children of color. All the maids in the area left their children on the farm and came to work in Durban. The nearest black school was in Claremont, which was approximately 15 minutes away, but this was not acceptable for my father because Busi was his daughter and she had to be admitted into a local school. Mom and Dad went to the different primary schools in the area and spoke to the headmasters, who were between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, there was a school act to abide by, which prohibited the acceptance of children of color or were not of Indian origin. Here was a dilemma for them. Busi was a conundrum. Her skin was black, but her adoptive parents and upbringing were Indian. The poor headmasters had a tough time trying to convince my father that Busi did not qualify for admission because of her color. Eventually, after much pressure and persuasion, she was admitted to grade 1 at Resmond Primary School in Reservoir Hills, making her one of the first black children to be admitted to an Indian school. Busi did well at school and grew up to be a beautiful, respectful, and pleasant young lady. She completed her studies in public relations at DUT and was seeking employment at the time of her demise in a motor vehicle accident at age 24. During the early 1990s, from the time the ANC was unbanned up to the inauguration of Nelson Mandela as president, ANC members and stalwarts were regular patrons or visitors at our home, seeking Dad's advice and his assistance with raising funds for the formation of the ANC Women's League. During this period, the ANC branch in Reservoir Hills was also formed, which was spearheaded by my late dad. From here on, his health started to decline until his demise on the 10th of September 2001, just a few hours before the 9/11 saga. Despite his failing health, he assisted and served the organization wherever he could. Ladies and gentlemen, I've taken up enough of your time. Memories can go on and on. So I will have to start rounding up with a quotation by Kader Hassan, who described himself as a friend, colleague, and client of Rabbi Bhagwan during the treason trial. And this is what he had to say about him. Rabbi will always be remembered by me, and I'm sure, by all those who came into contact with him as a remarkable human being, who was courageous and fought for the cause of liberation without fear and determination. He did so as a lawyer and a freedom fighter. Whatever one may have to say about Rabbi, there was one thing that all agreed on. Whatever Rabbi did, he did so in a colorful way. He did things in a way that you did not forget. When Rabbi was around, there was never a dull moment. He lit up the place and people's hearts. He injected large doses of excitement, confidence, and humor. The peasants from Ponderland, my co-accused, were simple people, but they were the salt of the earth. They had a huge admiration for Rabbi, and they trusted him until the very end, unquote. In conclusion then, I would say that his life and his message and his values we should cling on to, so that one day we may reach that promised land where people are judged not by the judged by the content of their character and not the color of their skin, where people have shelter over their heads, children do not go hungry to bed, and where moral integrity triumphs over greed and corruption. In this regard, there's still a lot that needs to be done in our country. The powers that be need to take heed of the lessons from history, which includes Gandhiji's life. No empire, political party, or person is too big to fall. I thank you all.
have the DVD of the Dalai Lama indicating the motivation for his receiving the award. We will screen that now.
Dear my African brothers and sisters, although everything planned is my visit to receive Gandhi Foundation sort of the award, and then also some talk, some universities. So I really looking forward to that opportunity. However, now the government of South Africa feel little inconvenience. So till day before yesterday, you see no sort of sign, no answer about my visit or my visa. So then, suppose today, 5th, I'm leaving, everything arranged. But then, since the day before yesterday, this is still, I wait, you see, no sign. So therefore, then there's no other alternative except, you see, they withdraw. This is my visit. So I feel very, very sad. However, my sort of way of thinking, my sort of, talk usually, the promotion of human value. Human value means warm-heartedness or compassionate heart. We really need that. Personal well-being, family well-being, the community, finally international whole humanity. You see, need more sort of warm-heartedness, more sort of sense of concern of others' well-being. Through that way, our world then really become very warm human family. So that's my main sort of concern or main sort of message. So whether my physical this is reached there or not, please think these things. Then Mahatma Gandhiji's your foundation is supposed to give me one award. So I always consider myself as one follower of Mahatma Gandhiji. Mahatma Gandhi, his non-violent sort of view or non-violent practice is something very, very relevant to today's world. So while we reminds Mahatma Gandhiji, I think the proper reminds Mahatma Gandhiji is we must implement non-violent sort of activities, non-violent view, non-violent sort of belief. Non-violent should become our daily life. That's the proper way to remind or to remember Mahatma Gandhiji. Just to keep his statue, his sort of picture may not be much sort of meaningful. So that I want to share with you. I'm hoping in future there could be some occasion with meeting you personally. So thank you very much. And a little bit sort of sad, I think, finally, due to sort of the government sort of inconvenience, my sort of visit now cancelled. So that may cause some disappointment and some sort of problems your case. But sorry, I apologize. But thank you very much.
Dinner is going to be served now, and we hope that at some stage during dinner we
we'll be able to show you the other 2 DVDs that were prepared for this occasion. We hope you will enjoy your dinner. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to disturb your supper. I don't have a very long program in front of me. I've just got the vote of thanks to pass, which is a bit different because it's not short. But we need to thank all the relevant people and role players that helped to keep today and make today successful. In a book publishing the various speeches and statements made by His Holiness, this is what Tempa Tsering, the Secretary to His Holiness, writes. No Dalai Lama in the history of Tibet has faced the political obstacles, the tragedies, and the international exposure that was forced upon His Holiness by China's invasion of his country. Through adversity and ever-expanding horizons, His Holiness has broadened his vision and honed his patience, humor, and optimism. Today, his philosophy of love, kindness, universal responsibility, and non-violence inspires a worldwide following. It is a practical path in solving both personal and political problems. Does this sound as though he was a separatist? He has time and again stated that he wants a negotiated settlement with no preconditions. He is neither a divisive figure, nor is he seeking to establish an independent Tibet with no ties to China. These suggestions arise from the brainwashing that has been happening over years. Possibly that is the cause of fear in some people, of an elderly, peaceful monk who has in fact retired from politics. I guess that people who stand for the truth and righteousness never have to fear. Here in South Africa, it is not only the Chinese fear, but also the hatred promoted among certain sections of government that has resulted in the snubbing of His Holiness. But we firstly must thank our community and all those in the government who do not support this violation of a human right. For there are certainly many in and outside government who do not align themselves with this position. And perhaps this is the reason that no clear statement refusing the visa has been made. This function could not have been put together without the assistance and dedicated cooperation of a number of groups and individuals. I want to thank the Tibet Support Group for all the assistance they gave us in organizing this event, and in particular, the representative of His Holiness in South Africa, Sonam Tenzing, and Elizabeth Gaywood, and her colleagues who helped us to decorate the stage. I'd like to thank the caterers, Indian Delights, for the appropriate decor of the tables, and I'm sure you will agree with me, the delicious food and the efficient services of their team. To the members of the Gandhi Development Trust and Satyagraha, we'd like to thank you for your assistance, and in particular, the chairperson of the Gandhi Development Trust, Paddy Kearney, who so ably carried out the function of program director. We also have delicious hot soji to thank you, Paddy. To the awardees and their families for coming to the function and giving their inspirational messages. Thank you very much. It is these messages that our youth and our future generations need to dwell on and interrogate so that they will not fall into the trap of propagandist and self-centered approach to life that we see still starkly around us. In this regard, we'd like to thank the Business Palette and Interprint for the booklet containing brief biographies of the awardees. We would like to also thank African Lotus Productions for recording the interviews live of the awardees and for the clips that they put together. We'd like to thank Video Vision for volunteering to record the proceedings of this event, and Satish Tupilia, which is me, for helping with the sound. This is the first time I'm doing a vote of thanks to myself, and the screens and the video, and to Vishal. To Kedar Ramgovind and Raj Badal for assisting with the caring of the guests who arrived from Johannesburg yesterday, in Durban, and Riverman Transport Services and Tours for taking care of our guests in Johannesburg. Also to the number of people who have given support and wisdom in the last few anxious months, and in particular the Tutu Center for the assistance in attempting to persuade the powers that be to grant the visa to His Holiness. If we failed, it is not because of a lack of an attempt, but rather because of the strong lobby that exists in government against His Holiness. May God bless them and give them wisdom in the future so that our country can be proud of our human rights record and our support for peaceful negotiations. If we believe in socialism and equity, let us live it and be the change we wish to see in the world. To the eThekwini municipality and the previous office, we'd like to say thank you very much to both those relevant departments, the previous office and the eThekwini department, for the use of the City Hall and all the assistance accorded to us. We'd like to also thank everybody who has come out here today, and that means you, ladies and gentlemen, and this is now your cue. It's like a TV program, so when I say we're going to thank you, I need you to please applaud because you are VIPs here today. So thank you very much for making this